Focus on Abilities is brought to you by Tier Memorial Herman, redefining rehabilitation, removing barriers, re-enabling independence. In the ILRU Southwest ADA Center, promoting compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Welcome to Focus on Abilities, a program about issues affecting the lives of people with disabilities. I'm Lex Frieden. I'm professor at the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston, and I direct a program on independent living research at Tier Memorial Herman. Our program today is one about transit for people with disabilities, and you'll find the guest that we have very knowledgeable about the subject. But before we start our program today, I want to ask you a question, one that we will answer before the end of the program, and that is, how many specially equipped transit vehicles do we have in our city designed to assist people with disabilities who have difficulty using the mainstream transit system? We'll answer that question and more when we come back with Focus on Abilities. Please stay tuned. You're watching Focus on Abilities on HTV. I'm Lex Frieden, and our guest today on the program is Art Jackson. Art, welcome to Focus on Abilities.
Thank you for having us, Lex. Thank you.
Now, Art, you're responsible for the transit system I spoke about in the opening there. You are the Director of Special Services. What is your title now?
Well, my title now, Lex, is Senior Director of Contracted Paratransit and Vanpool Services. I oversee 3 different departments. One includes our Metro Lift service for those riders who are unable to use our fixed route and rail services.
The contracted services, what all does that include?
The contracted services includes, at Metro, we have one of our bus operating facilities. Metro has 6 bus operating facilities. One of those bus operating facilities on the northwest side of Houston is operated by a private contractor. So I'm responsible for making sure that that contractor does everything that they're contracted to do, and that it's a seamless service, so you don't even realize that service is different than the other 5 bus operating facilities.
What about the over-the-road buses? I know you used to be responsible for some of those long runs from outside the city.
For the charter services, the Federal Transit Administration passed a law not too long ago where public transportation agencies are no longer able to charter services. So Metro is out of the charter business. You didn't want to have a situation where public companies were competing for business against private companies. Okay. So now it's open to private companies.
So, but a large portion of your job has to do with the issue that I talked about in the introduction, and that is special services for people with disabilities, and particularly people who find it difficult or impossible to use the mainstream transit system. What all does that include?
Well, the Metro Lift service is it's a complement to our local fixed route and rail services. As you described, it's for people with disabilities who are unable to utilize the local bus or rail system. We ask that customers provide us with information, have their doctors provide us with some information. We bring them in, talk about the services that we provide. We give them information, conduct a functional assessment. Once they're approved, they begin to utilize the service by calling in the day before, making a reservation. It's 7 days a week, basically 22 hours a day.
There may be a number of reasons that would qualify somebody to use that service. For example, somebody who lived a long way from a bus stop and it was impossible for them to push themselves in a wheelchair that far, or perhaps someone who had difficulty with navigation due to an intellectual disability or another reason, finding their way to a bus stop. Those people would be considered potentially eligible, right?
Without a doubt. Again, it's based on each person's individual disability, and we focus really more on their abilities. That's what we're interested in. What is the person capable of doing? If they're not capable of using our bus and rail system, then the MetroLift service is there to provide the transportation.
But you do other things besides substitute transportation for them. If you find they have an ability, but it's just they're not sure how to use the system, I know that you're involved in training people to help learn to navigate and to make people understand better how to use the rail system and how to get from the bus to the rail and so forth, right?
That's correct. Great point. What we provide is what we call mobility coordinators or travel trainers that will go out with the person with a disability. It's really quite an extensive program. The mobility coordinator will go out, survey the route that the person would like to go on, see what challenges they may have, go back and meet with the person, and then they'll go with the person on the bus route or the rail route and take the person for a ride, help them navigate the system, show them how to get on the bus, how to pay their fare, how to catch the next bus, any transfers. Then they'll go back to the person, and then they'll shadow the person. As they go on it by themselves, the person will literally follow them, but allow the person with the disability to utilize the service.
Well, people may have difficulty understanding what we mean, so I'd like to give some specific examples. I know one case, I have a colleague who is blind and needs to use one of the transit centers. That particular transit center, you land on one island, you may have to catch a vehicle on another island, and the way you have to do that is to go off the one island, across the street, onto the train bridge, and then up an elevator and back across to get to the other island. That sounds extraordinary. It sounds like a lot to do. It's the only safe way if you can't see when you're crossing the street, whether something's coming at you like a bus.
Right.
You don't want to be in that kind of traffic. So there is a way around that, and that's the sort of thing your travel trainers help with.
We work in partnership with other agencies also, the Division for Assisted Rehabilitation Services, DARS. DARS also provides orientation and mobility training. So for those individuals that may need more extensive training, we'll partner with other agencies to provide even more extensive training than our mobility coordinators and travel trainers provide.
But ultimately, the objective is for people to be as independent as possible and as much as possible use the mainstream services, the services that are designed for the entire public, right?
Without a doubt. The overwhelming majority of people with disabilities that use public transportation in Houston use the bus and rail system. The MetroLift service is for those people who are just unable to use those other services.
Well, I want to talk more about the improvements that Metro's made in those mainstream services. We'll do that right after we take a break. Please stay tuned for more with Art Jackson from Metro. Welcome back to Focus on Abilities on HTV. I'm Lex Frieden, your host, and our guest today is Art Jackson. Art is a responsible official at Metro who has many hats there, but importantly and pertinent to this show are the services to people with disabilities. Art, some of the recent changes in Metro have been highlighted in the press. We have some new routes in town. We have some new rail routes. What all's going on?
Well, it's a lot going on, Lex. First of all, we have the new bus network where Metro has redesigned all of its routes, where they operate more frequently, where there's more weekend service, just a lot of positive changes, many of which will benefit people with disabilities, make it easier for people to utilize the service. There's services that run longer during the day. Again, we're trying to make it as convenient for our riders as possible to be able to utilize the services that Metro provides.
That's not to say that some people won't be inconvenienced by the changes, right?
Of course, with any type of change of this magnitude, you're going to have customers that are going to have to make some adjustments, and we have in place ways for customers, interactive maps that customers can take advantage of. folks may be used to traveling one route, but you can maybe still get to that same destination just by taking a different route. So we're working with people to make those adjustments.
People who are affected that way can go online. Is there a number they can call? Is there somebody they
Sure.
can call who will coach them?
Without a doubt. People can they can go online at www.ridemetro.org, or they can call our customer care center at 713-635-4000, and a friendly customer service representative will be happy to assist the individual.
That's great. And people with disabilities, I think, are affected. Some data I saw suggested that the new routing system can reach 92% of the Houston community. 92% of people who live in Houston are within, what, a quarter of a mile? That was amazing to me that the service has been extended to such a wide aspect of the population.
Without a doubt, the design was, what can we do to get the services where the people are? And that's what we've been successful in doing. And we're very proud of the new bus network. We also have the new rail lines. We have the Southeast line, which goes out towards the different universities. We have the East End line that goes out towards Harrisburg by the Dynamo Stadium. So again, a lot's going on at Metro, and we're very, very excited. And really, people with disabilities are going places on our bus and rail system, and then, as we've talked about before, we still have our Metro Lift service.
Well, I, from time to time, need to go from the southwest side to University of Houston, and sometimes that can be a long and grueling drive. But I've found that I can actually take the bus, go to a transit stop, get on the train, and get within a couple of blocks of where I need to be. Sometimes it's quicker. It's certainly a lot more efficient and even less expensive. So there are improvements that have been made in our system for sure.
Without a doubt, access to transit, access to transportation is just vital, especially in a city the size of Houston. And if people are willing to go out there and try the system, I think most people will be pleasantly surprised that it's a safe, efficient, timely service that you can count on. And as you pointed out, it really does save you a lot of money by utilizing public transit.
Well, the other thing, Art, for people who are watching this show, is the system is entirely accessible, all those mainline services. Every bus in Houston has a wheelchair lift on it, and they should be working. Theoretically, I guess most of them are.
If I may, one of the things that folks like yourself years ago used to ask us to be smarter about our purchase of vehicles, and now instead of having lifts on those vehicles, most of them have ramps. So the system reliability has really improved. You don't have the mechanical failures that you used to have with lifts. Even if the ramp, something's going on, it can be manually folded out, which makes it a lot easier.
And the trains, the light rail, are all level entrance.
Correct.
It's a good system. It sure, well, harken back to 1975 when the mayor then, Fred Hoffines, invited everyone in Houston to ride the bus. And he said today it'll be free. People with disabilities went to meet the mayor in front of City Hall to catch the bus, and they couldn't get on it. We've made progress, Art.
We've made a lot of progress, Lex. I mean, we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities. Leaders like yourself have really helped guide the disability community into a new era. It's not perfect. We still have a ways to go, but a lot of progress has been made. The
ADA's 25th anniversary was recently celebrated by Metro. You had how many people came out to celebrate with you the 25th anniversary?
Well, it was on a Saturday morning. We wish you could have been there, but we know that you were celebrating in some other ways. We had over 300 people with disabilities come out and celebrate with us over at the Power Center on South Post Stoke, and we had a great time. We honored some of our local organizations that Metro has partnered with over the years. We recognized the center, the Houston Center for Independent Living, the Lighthouse. We had Christoph Spieler, a Metro director on the board, who came out and gave the presentation, and it was just a great day, and we were excited. Just great celebration.
Well, Art, what do you think the challenges are that lie ahead now?
I think that the challenges that we have continue to be education, making sure that people are educated about their rights, how to promote and advocate for themselves, how to communicate and talk about what changes need to come about. That's always been important. One of the things at Metro that we emphasize is that we want feedback from our customers. Tell us what we can do to make the service better for people with disabilities and all riders. So again, communicating, advocating, those are key things, education.
According to the data, Art, the biggest challenge or the biggest gap post-ADA is not transportation, but it's employment. Metro employs a lot of people. Do you have a program to employ people with disabilities?
We definitely hire people with disabilities throughout our agency. I'm a person with a disability, and we really make sure that the disability community is represented in our agency, and we look forward to people going onto the website. There's an area for careers. If a person with a disability sees a job that they like or reads a job that they like, feel free to apply for the job. They'll be given strong consideration
and
for
I've seen a number of people with disabilities, obviously, working in your offices when I've been there to visit you.
Without a doubt. We're very proud of the fact that we serve people with disabilities and we employ people with disabilities.
Okay. I want to visit more about Art Jackson in a minute, but I'd like for all of you to stay tuned. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Thank you for being with us today on Focus on Abilities. Our guest is Art Jackson, and we're talking about Metro services for people with disabilities, among other things. But Art, the Metro program in Houston is regarded as one of the elite programs in the United States when it comes to our paratransit services that we discussed a while ago. Can you share with us some of the data, some of the reasons why consultants from all over the country and other transit providers come here to look at what we're doing?
Well, thank you, Lex. I appreciate the kind comments, but really the genesis of it is that we've been doing it for so long. We started out in 1979, again, community leaders like yourself, my friend and predecessor, our friend Jim Laughlin, helped start the program. So we've been providing the services since 1979. We have great community support from the disability community. Our board of directors is supported for the folks to understand 11 years in advance of the Americans with Disabilities Act to begin a complimentary transit service or paratransit service for people with disabilities was just so thoughtful. And so yes, we do have a good program. We have over 17,000 registered riders. Each month, about 8,000 of those riders utilize the service. We provide about 150,000 passenger trips each month. Wow. I think this year we're probably looking at going over the 2 million mark. We answer well over 2 million calls in our call centers for our paratransit service. And one of the things that we're known for is that we operate a very cost-efficient service. We operate the most cost-efficient service in the nation.
So what you mean is the cost per ride. Obviously these vehicles cost something, paying the drivers costs something.
Right.
It takes time to go and pick somebody up and carry them across town. All of that adds up to a dollar figure. Mm-hmm. And if you compare us to any other city in the country, ours is the lowest cost.
That's correct. We operate the most cost-efficient service. One of the things that we've done that you're very familiar with, Lex, is that we implemented the use of wheelchair-accessible minivans into our service, and we partner with one of the local taxi cab companies, and they give us a little bit of better rate because they have the infrastructure in place, and that helps us keep the cost down. And again, we just operate in a very cost-effective manner. We don't waste resources. And even by being cost-efficient, we've never compromised the quality of the service.
Well, let me ask you about that. I mean, do you have any data on reliability? What's the likelihood if I make a trip appointment today that I'll get picked up on time tomorrow?
We get an A-Lex. We operate at a 90% or better rate. And so now, 9 out of 10 times, 18 out of 20 times, you can count on us to be on time to get you picked up and dropped off at your destination. And that's up. And I won't mask it. A few years ago, we were at about 82%, but Metro's board of directors said that we want to invest in the service, get it up to at least 90% or better, and that's where we are today. And it was a lot of hard work on the part of our staff and the community to work together to improve the timeliness of the service. But we're doing well.
Relatively speaking, that's a good number. Although, if I'm the one in that 10%, it seems like it takes forever for that ride to get there, and it seems like it happens every time, even though the data shows that it probably only happens 1 out of 10 times or less.
Right. I mean, anybody that's sitting waiting in the Texas weather for their ride and it's not there, again, you're not happy about it. But it goes back to what we talked about earlier. Give us the feedback. Let us know what went wrong, that we were late for your trip, so that we can research it and maybe find out what's going on. See if there's some type of pattern. If maybe your apartment complex is a little bit of a challenge, maybe we can give the drivers some more information that would help the driver in locating you. So again, we don't mind that feedback, good or bad, or just general suggestions. We want that feedback from our customers.
I think sometimes too people take it out of context, in the sense that if I'm flying on certain airline routes, the likelihood of them leaving on time is down around 70–80%. So I'd be lucky if I actually left on time and got where I was going on time. You beat that by a long margin.
Well, it's a transportation. Houston is a very large city, spread out, a lot of different issues: traffic, weather, construction, and you have drivers, dispatchers. It's just a lot of different factors. Customers may need a little extra assistance. That causes delays. But when we all work together, we can deliver a good quality, safe, reliable transportation.
So from my experience, Art, the bottom line is communication. If people are having issues, rather than just ventilate about it, they need to get on the phone and check and find out where their ride is. They need to find out what they can do to next time improve the reliability and so on, right?
Without a doubt. And again, I want to emphasize, as you pointed out, it's that communication. It's working together. We're at Metro, we're here to serve the citizens of Houston, to make sure that they get where they need to get to in a timely manner and in a safe manner, and we want to work with our customers. We're here to serve you.
Phone number?
The number to our customer service number, if you would like for information about MetroLift, call 713-225-0119. Or if you're already a rider and you want to check on the status of your ride, that's 713-225-0410. And if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. We're there for you.
Art, you've made a real contribution. I have videotape of you 20 years ago on this program talking about some of your aspirations for MetroLift, and you've achieved a lot of that. In addition, you're very active in community activities. I know you're an active member of your church. You have 2 kids who've been through school in the Houston system. What other kinds of activities do you engage in to get your mind off all this hard work you're doing with Metro?
Well, even back then I didn't have hair, Lex, so you won't be able to show pictures of me with hair.
That's true.
But I do try to stay active in the community. I'm a native Houstonian. I relocated out to Stafford back in '96, I believe. So I live in Stafford. I have a beautiful wife, Denise, and 2 kids, Jalen, who's 20. She's applying for the medical nursing school here in Houston. She was in San Antonio. I have a son who's 14 who's just going over to the high school. So I'm busy. I'm a member of Windsor Village United Methodist Church for the last 26 years. Serve on the school board out in Stafford and the Planning and Zoning Commission. I've just been very fortunate, a lot of different opportunities. The United Travel Advisory Board, trying to help travel for people with disabilities continue to improve through that airline.
Well, yeah, you're a busy person, and on behalf of a lot of us whose lives you affect, I appreciate it. Thanks, Art.
Thank you, Lex.
And thanks for being our guest today.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be right back for some closing comments. Thank you for watching Focus on Abilities today. Our guest has been Art Jackson from Metro. I'm Lex Frieden. I want to invite you all back next time, but before we close today, I want to mention that the Metro system in Houston, our paratransit services that especially serve people with disabilities, carry 6,000 people with disabilities each day in our city. It's remarkable. If you want more information, you can look up www.ridemetro.org, and there'll be a pull down you can click for services for people with disabilities. Please tune in next time for more Focus on Abilities. We'll be looking for you then. Thanks for watching.
Focus on Abilities was brought to you by Tier Memorial Hermann, redefining rehabilitation, removing barriers, re-enabling independence, and the ILRU Southwest ADA Center, promoting compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act.